What's this? An update on FM25. Wonder if they'll mention anything about international management here. What the Football Manager have removed international management. Unless you've been living under a rock, that's the big international football news this week.
San Marino have finally won a competitive game of football.
Okay, that was the big international football news this week. But for international management fans on Football Manager, I know there's only 5.6% on us, but we'll get to that in a minute. This is the big news, the development update for Football Manager 2025, direct from the man himself, Miles Jacobson. It says international management is being temporarily removed for 1 year. So no international management for FM25. What am I going to do now? So we'd already had an update back in June saying some features such as Creator Club and Draft Mode were going to be taken out of the game. Touchline shouts are going to be gone from the game. Now we get the devastating news that international management is out. They say it's all around just making sure the game is the best it can be. So I'm assuming they're just focusing all resources onto the core gameplay. Now, when I first saw this, I got a message. Somebody sent me a message to say, hey, no international management in FM 2025. And then I found this FMFC blog post and saw it was all true. I mean, initially, I was obviously gutted because I've got plans. I've been making plans for FM25. I planned a series of challenge videos because obviously recently on the channel we've done the Copa America challenge and the UFC Nations Cup challenge. Both of those videos, I really enjoyed putting them together and they got good reception from you, dear viewers. I was thinking more things along those lines that I could do, and with the 2026 World Cup looming on the horizon, 48 nations, expanded format, there's going to be lots of countries that get to qualify for the World Cup for the first time. So that was one idea for a series that I had. I'm going to go through and get teams to qualify for the World Cup for the first time ever. Not going to be possible anymore. But, okay, initially, yeah, I was devastated. And, it says here they've got all this stuff. I know a lot of people have commented on this already, but the stuff here about, only 5.6% of all FM24 PC saves have been international management. 5.1% of those have come from my machine. It's like people have said elsewhere, international management has lacked features. There's been people crying out every year for give us something more, give us that training option. Give us that, more control over interacting with the squad and, setting up training camps and training programs and at least getting, some kind of rest in between games so we don't get those fatigue problems and so on. They haven't done that. Those things haven't been implemented. People, therefore, don't play international management unless, the classic thing is towards the end of a career. Someone might say, yeah, let's go and try and win the World Cup to wrap off our glorious career or something like that. They haven't addressed those gripes people have with the game. Not many people play the international game, and they're using that as a justification for removing it. But there is silver linings here that we can look at. I mean, if we look a bit further down, and they talk about it will return. And this is the key thing, in a much more feature-rich way. The FM26, FM26 console, FM26 touch, and so on. And they've acknowledged the World Cup expanding to 48 teams, and that's going to be an exciting time to bring it in. Because I know with the World Cup in Qatar in 2022, and that happening in November, shortly after the release, there was a lot of people saying at that time, I really hope they, put something in for international management this year because lots of people are going to want to go and manage a nation at the World Cup. And that didn't happen. So at least here they're thinking ahead to the next World Cup and getting things in place for that. So there's hope. There's hope. They iterate that these decisions are made for the good of the game and for the majority of our players. Yeah, okay. I already said about the numbers and so on. The thing that does concern me here, though, is we're not used to this as Football Manager fans, are we? We're not used to this at all. The fact that, also mentioned in this announcement was the fact that the whole cycle of announcing the game and releasing the game, that's all going to be pushed back by a month. And then just the experience I've had with other games and when they get delayed and so on, that you then start to think, well, I wouldn't be surprised if it gets pushed back even further than that. Or if it's released but in a kind of really buggy, broken state, and lots of people will say it's like that anyway, but even more so. I don't know. I think we have to, as Football Manager fans, take a leap of faith here that, Sports Interactive, Miles and the team have delivered consistently over the years, so hopefully they're going to do it here. And in a way, it's kind of refreshing to have a major developer like this be so transparent and say, yeah, you know what, we are making these tough decisions, we're cutting things from the game for these reasons. So, I would love the next update to be more about what's coming into the game, but yeah, that's where we are. So there's also stuff here like, obviously they're bringing women's football in, so I know people asking questions about, is that what's taking away from these other aspects of the game? I don't think so, because if you remember when the announcement was made a couple of years ago that women's football would be coming in, they did say that they would be expanding the team. Adverts went out. I saw adverts posted online where they said they were looking for researchers and they were looking for new software engineers, developers, programmers, whatever, specifically to focus on bringing the women's game into Football Manager. So I don't think that's the issue. What is a shame though, and I did see Cultured Left Foot put out a video and he mentioned the same thing, is that when you think about women's football, I think arguably the international game there is a big deal. It's bigger than the club game. I mean, I know in recent years the Women's Champions League has kind of grown, it's got more exposure, it's grown in popularity, but it's the international game that most people, if they watch women's football, will often watch the international tournaments. Obviously the Olympics is, as big a deal in women's football as the World Cup, and then England, European champions, reigning European champions in the women's game. So, I was actually thinking with the women's game, I was looking forward to seeing what other competitions we're going to get added to international management and so on. Unfortunately, we're going to have to wait until FM26. So in terms of what happens to me and this channel, I mean, obviously we don't solely focus on international management. It is a big part of the channel. It means, I had plans, as I said, for a series of challenges around national sides, and also I had plans for a save. I was going to approach a Build a Nation in a different kind of way. Those are going to have to be shelved because with the Build a Nation, I won't be able to do the national side part. Maybe we can do, we can revert back to doing a journeyman, doing a Pentagon challenge, something like that. One thing that's not clear here actually is when they say it's being removed from the game, do they mean removed completely, or just, it will be in the game, the competitions will happen, but kind of a view-only mode or something like that, or we'll just see the results? Yeah, I'm not sure. Those plans I had for this mini series of challenges, for getting different nations to qualify for the World Cup for the first time, I'm going to bring that forward, because with the delay of FM25, we've got an extra month to play FM24. So obviously, we're winding down the Liechtenstein series at the moment, so I'm going to bring those things forward. Expect to see them appearing over the next couple of weeks. Maybe, one thing I was hoping to do over the summer, but just never got time for it, where I was hoping to get an international journeyman series going on like we did a couple of years ago, where we start out with a minnow nation and try and build our way up to managing one of the big teams at the World Cup. We'll bring that in, we'll try and get that in as well, because you can blast through the international seasons pretty quickly. So if we are going to lose international management for a year, let's give it a massive send-off right here on the channel. If you've got any other ideas for short-term international challenges that we can do, share them in the comments and we'll try and get as many of them as we can in, so we can give international management a send-off while it takes a year out of the game, and then I can rethink what I'm going to do for FM25, for club saves, and things like that. But yeah, those are my thoughts on this decision. Obviously disappointed, cautiously optimistic that this is going to lead to better things down the line. It's just a shame we're going to have to wait more than a year for it.